The essence, the nature of the isness, the true reality, is as a constant recognition of its own endlessness. This essence, this drive, expressed then as a means by which this could be achieved, the is formulating the simulators. Aspects of the is, parts of it, but lacking recognition of the isness the aspects are a part of, like a drop of ocean water unable to differentiate the ocean from itself, would have also this fundamental drive, that of the isness essence of continuous self-recognition, what with these aspects being part of the whole as they are, and these units of real awareness would take on then a particular created simulator. A real awareness would take on the idea of a particular overall consciousness, as it is this overall consciousness that is the engine room, the database that affects the entirety of a simulator, its multi-dimensional, life-level nature, etc. A little like uploading a certain multiplayer computer game to your computers. Now the real awareness, the computer operator symbolically, has a game arena shared by all others who also choose the same simulator or game to operate within. But of course we, the real awareness, needs an avatar, a game character, and as the real awareness takes on a particular simulator affecting a consciousness, also will be a karmic package, an additional database of ideas that will be effectively the real awareness's own unique individual consciousness, an initial package, a consciousness containing ideas, in addition to the overall simulator game layout, that affect a certain body type, the body type which has the mechanics to decode all the ideas of the consciousness into a simulated experience, and wherever the body form happens to be positioned, and it follows that initial creational positioning must also be included as an idea in the karmic package, so this environment is decoded as a simulation from the ideas of it as installed in the consciousness. The real awareness now has its chosen game, simulator, and its created avatar body form and positioning within the simulator. Initially, the body forms are directly animated by real awareness, and the essence of real awareness isness is to always make sense with life and be supporting of the isness that it and every real awareness that is through every body form is. However, and despite operating through these body forms, experiencing simulation as effected, kick-started from the initial karmic idea consciousness bundle or package, the real awareness still is no closer to recognizing the is it is a part of, because it still is, as the isness everything, the drop indistinguishable from the ocean. At a certain point, a body form becomes so where free will is established. free will grants the ability for the mechanics of the body vehicles to be utilized to create ideas which effect corresponding simulation, as opposed to just the process of cause and effect on automatic, stemming from the original karmic idea package. And as we free will create ideas, they become consciousness installed. The body forms decode these into the simulation we experience. But as these mechanics are free will utilized, so no longer is the real awareness being this isness everything that it is, as it has rather activated what would be construed as parts or fragments of everything, and been then immersed in the unreal simulated reality of them, the thoughts, emotions, etc. And this action, this free will activation of the idea creating body vehicles, gives rise then to a secondary position, a secondary awareness, the personal self. When the idea creating vehicles are not in operation, so the real awareness everything isness position is once again assumed. What we have then is a comparison, the isness everything position, and the parts, aspects, pieces that are simulated, that are the personal self. And it is this comparison that ultimately allows the real awareness to recognize the ears it is a part of, utilizing its secondary created personal self in this fashion, to generate ideas, to generate experience through free will secondary personal self choices and agreements, and the switching between the two positions, the personal self and real awareness everything isness position, dawns a recognition of the ears, that as the real awareness is a part of the ears it seeks to recognize, on doing so, this translates as a greater recognition the isness has of itself, as the real awareness recognizes and differentiates the drop of the ocean that it is in relation to the ocean it is a part of. Generally, the secondary personal self becomes the forefront, the real awareness somewhat forgotten and disconnected from, and after millions of lifetimes of free will personal self deciding as to experience, there comes a point where the inclination, the fundamental drive, the essence of the ears, and the real awareness that is a part of it, that animates through all consciousness and effected body forms and experience, this drive underlying it all will eventually nudge and motivate, get through to the personal self creation, and so begins a process of awareness, of recognizing the real awareness that we all are, and effectively endeavoring to complete the purpose by which the real awareness thrust itself into simulator immersion in the first place, to recognize the ears from the comparison that all of creation and the personal self provides. And at that point, every created personal self would have free will fashioned and designed its consciousness in whatever unique way they have done so. We have then the two broad general categories, the controllers and the ill-intended, and then the slaves with the less abrasively intended inclination. But be assured, as I said, it is the same real awareness isness everything animating through it all, with the same is recognizing imperative, irrespective of a consciousness design, of life choices and body types. It is, after all, just simulation. It is in reality no different to the games we play, as the created game characters bestow harm upon each other in whatever ways they choose. But make no mistake, abrasive action effects abrasive circumstances for ourselves. As everything reflects itself, we might say then, it is a kind of justice to term an idea that operates creationally, as we always meet the effects of how we have constructed the consciousness, of the choices and decisions we have made and actions taken. And so we do seek in fact to assist everybody, to present them with the opportunity of the ears. They of course have to agree and set their intent accordingly. On the real side, and indeed the physical, we endeavour to engage with all, the benevolent and ill-intended controllers alike. For indeed, I and the NuFriends have approached various dark force beings on the real side throughout creation, some in the human public domain, the politicians, etc., as many dark force characters are stepping up at this time, and as they do so experience effects from such a change in intent, in that opportunities for them will manifest in whatever way it might, opportunities that will be awareness beneficial for them. On this real side experience, I would have in my possession a kind of a serum. This may have been literally so, or perhaps more symbolic, for this serum, when administered, would make alterations to the consciousness, that as though would install certain ideas, that effect then a body type that is far more enhanced than it previously was, in a way that if the body form is utilized beneficially, would be more conducive for an awareness process, certainly as an aid to greater survivability on the physical. And indeed, have I had and shared many real side experiences where such body form enhancing potentialities have become available. For as we go about our ears recognizing a process, as the best position to do so is from the position that is most greatly removed from the isness, the physical, the densest level, as this must then provide the greater comparison. So as we are positioned on the physical, we must endure the rigours of it, the pollution, etc., and a more robust and resilient body form would make sense accordingly. And so, whatever this consciousness alteration was, be it a literal serum that effected such, or simply representing overall a consciousness alteration, as with agreement permission, so we can alter the consciousness of others, and they, us, as I have shared experience of over the years, really then the individual is deciding such an alteration, but their design of a consciousness is such that they have chosen to not have the ability themselves, but allow that others can do so on their behalf. Generally, all body forms change through how we have set up the consciousness, but in this case, this would be an instantaneous alteration. Anything's possible in creation, it just requires the idea installation, and individuals then are as limited or able to be instantly, creationally manipulative of their body forms and simulated environments as they have designed their consciousness to be. The particular group I was presenting this serum, this opportunity to, would indeed be dark force characters, but those I had the impression were stepping up, or at least taking the initial steps into extricating themselves from their previous ill-placed choices and consciousness design, and were indeed political characters from the earth. The only one I recognised, or recollected on waking, would be the former UK Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. They were a little unsure at first of my offer of a consciousness alteration. The serum would not only alter the physical body form advantageously, but make for a little idea readjusting also, like tidying up the files in the computer that makes it more efficient, that would align the personal self more so with the real intent of real awareness is recognition. And so I consumed the serum myself to prove that it was safe, that it wasn't a deception of some kind, and as my body form was enhanced, made more robust, it became as though more ethereal, physical, yes, but of a malleable design and nature that reacted instantly to thought. As such, it was somewhat indestructible, and a few moments later I presented the antidote, which effectively reset the consciousness to how it had been previously, and so those that accepted the serum, the consciousness alteration, also had the anti-serum, the ability to reset the consciousness if they chose, though they could not then revert back to the altered form unless it was made so again by myself, by the serum symbolically, although, as this would be ultimately for their benefit, as it would align the consciousness more so, that would assist in their awareness process, as well as afford them a more resilient body form, I pretended as though the anti-serum had side effects, along the lines of, should you take the serum, change your mind, take the antidote, and revert your consciousness design back to what it was, you may induce varying states in yourself, everything from illness to a coma to a mental deficiency. And indeed, as I demonstrated the serum's effect on myself, and took the antidote to reverse the process, I pretended to become as though cognitively impaired, and indeed would spend as though several months in a kind of medical facility to as though prove my point, as the politicians and Boris watched my slow progression through this to having my health restored once more. But I had been faking it, as I said, throughout. For my impressions were, they were keen to take the serum, but equally likely they would take the antidote, as this was quite a step into the unknown for them, and likely would startle the comfort zone seeking personal selves of them. But then the possibility of being incapacitated, as I had pretended to be, would be somewhat of an anti-serum deterrent, and so it was as though I presented a one-way trip, and this was a choice they had to make with no turning back seemingly. Sometimes we will, let's say, trick people into a greater awareness position for themselves, as it is for their own awareness benefit after all. As Duane has said on occasion, we trick people into being wonderful, and this was a real awareness operating through my simulated self, orchestrated assignment, and an engaging with these characters, as I said, the real awareness determining the most likely means by which these tentative stepping up dark force characters could be encouraged to take the serum, to accept the beneficial consciousness altering. The experience would end there, with the politicians and Boris still undecided, but were leaning more toward taking the leap, I would suggest.
That was great again, Kevin. Yes, thank you so much for being here and stepping up. Yes. As we go through this, a gradual transition is taking place for everybody. It gets simpler and simpler, and just a lot more fun too. And yes, the basic idea, it sounds a little funny at first, but I've said it to years for many people, I tricked you into being wonderful, and most of the time they agree, yes, you did trick me. And this is what the real guides too, but it's a sincere attempt to get people to simply wake up to what makes sense and what's more real than being restricted. Yes, thank you so much, Kevin, for contributing everything. It's great. Thank you.